Hello everyone, welcome back. So I'm going to be doing one of those pick a card, pick a stack tarot readings today. And the theme is, what is in your energetic blind spot? So the number one question that I get when I do private readings is, what am I missing, right? We're all assuming that we're missing something, that our intuition might be misleading us, or we must have screwed something up, right? So that's today's theme, and I'm going to do 3 different stacks. So I have, as the stacks, the sea serpent, the cosmic egg, and the peacock. So these are those 3 cards here. You can impress upon those, and the timestamps will be in the description box below. And of course, if you're interested in a private reading for yourself, you'll find that in the description box, as well as gift cards if you'd like to gift a reading. Just send me an email and we'll get that all straightened out. So I'm going to pull a bunch of cards for each stack. I'm going to pull those live. I haven't pulled them yet. And the questions are, what are you seeing? What are you not seeing? Why are you not seeing it? Where should you be focusing? Where is the energy heading as it stands currently? And then at the bottom of the deck, what does Spirit want to remind you that your superpower is? So I'm going to pull those cards live and then pause for a second because I do like to sit with my cards. I have to say, I know that, there's a conception that as soon as you pull the card that the information is going to flow, and sometimes it does happen like that. But I like to sit with my cards. I like to let it marinate so that I don't have to, waste your time with dead air. So without further ado, let me jump into stack number 1, which is the sea serpent. I just got to write down my timestamp. Sea serpent. So this card refers to the energy of unconditional love, right? Which I know is a strange way to look at the sea serpent card, but it implies that this is the world serpent. So it encompasses and hugs the entire earth permanently, right? It's like this unconditional hug. And it talks about how we tend to judge and disqualify ourselves much harsher than Spirit ever would, right? So 9 times out of 10, we've counted ourselves out and we've let go of a dream or a vision, but Spirit is still championing us on, right? We're still totally in alignment with our vision and totally worthy of love, right? So that just talks about this energy of unconditional love. And it reminds me of a meditation that I had done in the last week or so where I was asking about something in my own life where I was like, when is this thing going to move? And the response that I got from Spirit was, when you can say, I love you to yourself and mean it. And I was like, oh, that just slapped me in the face because, of course, I had to examine it. And I was like, do I love myself? And yada, yada. So maybe it's a question to ask yourself. When you say, I love you to yourself, do you fully mean it? And if not, it's like examine those things, right? Because there's lots of, we all have the peanut gallery in the back of our mind, right? There's lots of different things that we say that are seemingly trivial because it's like, oh, I'm so stupid. I can't believe I did that or whatever. But as dismissive as that is, it's still powerful, right? So just remembering that universal force, that true God force, is unconditional love, and us, we're like peanut brains compared to the Godhead, right? And that unconditional love is most likely an emotion that we've never really felt before, right? I'm sure being a parent is probably the closest that you can get within this construct, but unconditional love may be the same thing as like the color you've never seen or the smell you've never smelled, right? It's like beyond the capacity of the imagination, right? So it's almost like forgiving yourself for not having the same emotional capacity as God, right? Like it's okay. So that's the sea serpent energy. So let's pull the 5 cards that show us what we're seeing, what we're not seeing, yada yada. Okay. So what are we seeing? We're seeing the death card energy, right? So big changes. What we're not seeing, the 6 of Pentacles. Okay, like a kickback. 6 of Pentacles is almost like when you get that surprise tax return check in the mail from the state, right? It's almost something like that. I like that. Why is this energy hidden? The Ace of Wands. Oh, because it's brand new? Is that why? Where should we be focusing? Strength. Okay. it's almost like, because strength and wands, those are both very fiery energies, right? So it's almost like focusing on the energy of the solar plexus, right? So if you're feeling any of those energies, because it can be excitement and happiness and yada yada, but it can also be anger and passion and fear and rage and those different things. And coming back to the sea serpent and learning to unconditionally love ourselves, the sea serpent, or excuse me, sometimes will dismiss ourselves or disqualify ourselves because we weren't perfect, right? We got angry. We didn't stay in a perfectly positive love and light kind of vibration, right? But that's not how manifestation works, right? 80, I would say 99.9% of my manifestations have happened on the heels of very turbulent energy, right? Like very shaky grounds, lots of upset moments and things like that, and then boom, something beautiful just rises right on the other side of it. So the idea that, like, if you ever have a negative thought, you're going to completely undermine your manifestation, or you're going to disqualify yourself or whatever, it's like letting go of that. And I was listening to, I saw some law of attraction video in the last couple of days where a gentleman was talking about, it was a Stevie Nicks song that will come up. It was called, which song is it? As the Glitter Fades, from the Rumors album. And she has a line where she says, "The dream is still coming, even if you forgot to feel it," right? So even if your vibration was not a perfect match for whatever it is that you desire, that does not mean that it's not coming, or that you're not worthy of it, or that you've disqualified, right? And another thing I want to say about the sea serpent is that the medicine for this card is creativity, right? Creative energy, which I know sounds cliche, but I'm thinking of it differently. It's almost like applying the same mindset that you would apply to smudging, that you would apply to creativity, right? So when we smudge, we're clearing or charging or activating or manifesting or whatever. So it's like taking that same concept and applying it to whatever your creative outlet is. You know, whether it's the colored pencils or putting on a playlist and dancing or making a meal or cleaning your house, applying that same energy to the creativity and using that as the medicine to basically remove the veil, right? Because it's like we're trying to clean up the blind spot, right? So it's like this activity, think of it as like your energetic Windex that's just cleaning the window so that you can see through it clearly. So where is this energy headed as it currently stands? Five of Wands reversed. Okay, that's interesting. I clear all of the reversals out of my deck before I shuffle it. So if a reversal comes out, that's when I take it. Five of Wands reversed. Interesting. And then at the bottom of the deck, Nine of Swords. So this is what Spirit wants to remind you that your superpower is. And I did one of these readings for myself privately before I did this on the channel. And this was my overall energy, the Nine of Swords. So as a superpower, it talks about basically saying, as good as you are at shooting yourself in the foot, right? Because you probably think that you're really good at shooting yourself in the foot and worrying yourself into a mess and bringing, storms upon yourself. As good as you are at doing that, you are just as good as cleaning it up. Just as good at cleaning it up. Let's say that, right? So it's almost like the inverse of the Nine of Swords energy, right? Where it's like, but also going back to what I was saying about the sea serpent, right? Where it's like, just because you found yourself in a Nine of Swords a few nights in a row does not mean that you've disqualified yourself from the sea serpent, right? And the Nine of Swords talks about, because it's swords, it talks about scripting to me, right? Like the power of language and words and things like that. And the Nine of Swords always says that the cards are still on the table, right? It's like these actions that you wish you would have taken, coulda, shoulda, woulda. It's like it's all still there, right? You haven't missed any opportunity, anything like that. The clock is not up yet. You're still in play, right? So I'm just going to pause for a moment, sit with these cards, and then I'll be back in 2 seconds. Okay, so the card that you are seeing, or what's in your environment that you are seeing, is the Death card energy, right? So the Death card energy talks about unstoppable momentum, right? It really is the energy of a tsunami where it's like anything that gets touched by it is going to be carried by that energy. And once the process begins, it doesn't stop, right? So it's very much so feeling like you're in the middle of an avalanche or something like that. But it is headed towards this beautiful energy with the Six of Pentacles, because I am seeing this as some kind of kickback, right? Like I was saying with the tax return energy, or something like that, right? Where it feels like everything is getting swept up, but it's almost like it's being turned into a liquid asset, right? Where it's like maybe you think that you've lost something or that you are losing something, but then you receive something in turn that is of equal value, right? So I don't know how to say it. Like maybe you lost a ring, right? And it was devastating or something like that. But then the next thing you know, you wind up finding $10,000 in cash or something. I know that's a weird analogy, but it's like equal value, if you know what I'm saying, right? Where it's like one thing is being removed, but it's like something else is coming in that that's more expansive. Is that the word? Because I'm just thinking in terms of like, the ring, you can wear it, but the $10,000, you can kind of do anything with it, right? It's like turning it into pure energy that you can then utilize and turn into whatever you'd like, right? So it's almost like taking something physical and turning it into ether, which can then be turned into anything else. And so this is what's in the blind spot. This is the energy that's happening right now. And the reason why you can't see it is because of the Ace of Wands, right? This is what's hiding it. And the Ace of Wands is the newest energy in the deck, right? It's the energy of the epiphany. It's the energy of experiencing something for the first time, right? So I'm trying to think of a great reference, but in the last video that I had posted, I was talking about how our imagination has a limit, right? It's almost impossible to imagine something that you have no context for. For example, a smell you've never smelled, a color you've never seen, a taste you've never tasted. That's what this Ace of Wands is. It's like this energy is an Ace of Wands. It is so brand spanking new that it might not be detected by your own personal radar, right? So that's what it's like in this energy of the Nine of Swords. It's like the energy is in the room with you. The Ace of Wands is in the room with you, but it's so foreign, I guess, that you're not seeing it. It's kind of like the energy of when you're looking for something, but you're looking for the wrong color, so you can't see it. Have you ever had that happen? Where like you're looking for your keychain and you're looking for red, but it's underneath something that's blue, so because you're not looking for blue, you just can't see it, right? It's something like that. And where Spirit wants you to focus your energy is towards the Strength card. So the Strength card talks to me all about the solar plexus, right? And really kind of utilizing that solar plexus energy, which can be, again, the full spectrum, everything from anger to excitement, right? But everything that happens right there in the gut. And so, again, kind of saying to yourself, if you've experienced some solar plexus outbursts in the last week or two, because you and 8 billion other people have experienced those outbursts, trust me, you can use that energy, right? It's like reclaiming my time, reclaiming my energy. I truly believe that we have like an energetic snail trail that follows us throughout the construct, throughout our existence. And if I want to go back 10 years ago and claim the energy and shift it, I 100% believe that I can do that. And I 100% believe that you can as well. So I feel like it's something like that, where it's almost saying like embracing that focus, but also, because again, it's like the Ace of Wands is the energy that's blocking what's in the blind spot, right? Which is the Six of Pentacles, which is whatever it is that's coming in exchange for the Death card, right? Where it's like, again, I want to say like the energy of a liquid asset, because it's giving me the energy of money, where it's like you can just kind of do whatever you want to do with it. That's the best example that I can use. But what was I saying? With the Strength card, let me pause for a moment. So the best way to articulate it is because the best way to articulate it is that this energy, whatever it is that's coming in, is hidden behind the fiery energy of the Ace of Wands, right? This brand new thing, but it's fiery, right? It's passionate, and there could be an energy of, as you get close to it, it could be activating that solar plexus in a way that either makes you anxious, nervous, frustrated, angry, other things. And it's almost saying, embrace that energy. It's almost like, instead of resisting the fire and fighting the fire, being one with the fire. And it's like, once you're in that energy of embracing and oneness and not being in fear of it, but just letting it flow, it's like that's when you'll see what's on the other side of it. And that comes back to the sea serpent, right? Where it's like the unconditional love of the energy, and recognizing that all of these energies have great purpose, right? Because this very powerful fiery energy reminds me of a theme right now, which is the theme of the rocket booster, right? Where it's like, in order to move from one timeline to the next, you have to achieve escape velocity to get out of the atmosphere and into outer space, into that next beyond, right? But the escape velocity requires a lot of fiery turbulence, right? So it's like claiming that, embracing that, doing whatever you can do with that. And like I was saying with the medicine for the sea serpent card, maybe channeling it into some kind of artwork. I love ecstatic dance. I think ecstatic dance is one of the most powerful things that you can do by yourself, especially put on your favorite playlist and just go to town, shake the energy out. But also maybe even using that fiery energy as the muse for whatever kind of artwork it is that you create, right? Because it really is encouraging that. And let me just rearrange my cards here, sorry. And where the energy is headed as is the Five of Wands reversed, which is a great thing to see, because the Five of Wands is the energy of like too many cooks in the kitchen, right? It's just an energy of conflict and melee, and you can't get anywhere with this energy. But that energy is reversed, and that implies organization, right? That it's like, it's almost like the Solomon's Temple energy, where it's like getting the energy to work for you as opposed to against you, right? So whatever you are currently battling or were battling is now going to be your ammo, right? So that which was used against you is now going to be your greatest weapon, whatever that energy is. So maybe even just using that as the mantra, where it's like, whatever has been used against me is only going to accelerate my process or anything like that. But not resisting, not beating yourself up for being human, right? I do not think that God is sitting up there saying, ooh, she ate a McDonald's cheeseburger this week, straight to hell, right? But we do that to ourselves all the time. So it's something like that, where it's like very much so forgiving yourself for being human, 100%. And if anything, celebrating that energy, taking it, claiming it, and saying, you know what, it's still divine energy and it's still going to fuel my manifestation. And just like Stevie Nicks said, even if you forgot to feel the dream, it's still coming. So that's where I want to leave that. But I do want to pull one little oracle card just to see what the oracles have to say. Okay, let's pull this one. Ooh, oh my god. What does this say? It says, I am strong. Oh, look at that with the strength card. You are strong. I am strong. I'm stronger than I think I am. I reject victimhood. My strength is in knowing that all circumstances are temporary. I focus my attention on what's in front of me. I naturally move forward into new phases of life, and I am strong. So this death card energy that's moving through the environment right now, remember that that is temporary, right? It's like, perhaps what comes on the other side of it is going to be a more permanent experience, but like the passing itself is going to just be a fleeting, temporary thing. But also rejecting victimhood, right? It's like that one always comes up for me because I completely understand it, right? We live in a world right now where it is the victimhood Olympics, right? And everybody is competing to be the most suffering individual that they can possibly be. And it's dangerous, right? Because victimhood is very disempowering. If I create a narrative where it's like I am the victim of circumstance or whatever, it's basically like snuffing out your own flame, right? So I guess just being mindful of that, being mindful in your own self-talk, in your own circumstances about whether or not things are fair or anything like that. Because it goes back to what I was saying with the sea serpent energy in the beginning and how we tend to count ourselves out quicker than spirit does, right? So it's almost like perhaps you're seeing yourself as the victim of yourself, right? That could be an aspect of it too, right? And releasing that and really examining that energy. Ooh, that's hitting me big as an epiphany. I feel like I'm gonna have to examine that. But yeah, being a victim of yourself, right? Because I don't feel like I'm a victim of anything else, but that would be it, right? If you are the author of your own autobiography, then that's huge. Okay. So releasing victimhood, including the victimhood of yourself. Thank you so much, my sea serpent people, and I will see you at the next one. So let's pull the next card, which is going to be, okay, and the next card is the Cosmic Egg. Let me write down my timestamp for that. Oh my God. I've lost all my notes. Here we go. 21. Okay. So this is the Cosmic Egg card. And the Cosmic Egg talks about the energy of interconnectedness, where it's like everything is magically connected. And I just want to grab the book that this is in. So I'm going to pause it for one. So the Cosmic Egg card talks about reaching the final stage in the integration process, right? If you think of like the mythology of Osiris, how Osiris was fractalized and scattered throughout the matrix, and then he had to be remembered and reassembled and reactivated and then eventually reborn, right, as the Horus. So it's like the Cosmic Egg is basically like the final step in that process before total rebirth, total reintegration. But the flip side of this energy, the shadow side of this energy, can talk about feeling as if no progress has been made, or feeling as though you've missed out on the opportunity, or that you'll never get there. It's like the energy of are we there yet, right? Where it's like it's maybe not seeing the process or the activation, but it's almost like, what's the best way to say it? It's kind of like, I'm trying to think of like somebody that's building something and it doesn't really look like anything until that final piece is put on, right? Because it's almost like decorating the Christmas tree, and then the final thing you have to do is plug it in, right? It's like everything is there, all you have to do is plug it in. That's the best way to describe this energy, right? So your Christmas tree is decorated, the star is on top, all you have to do is plug it in. But I don't even know if it's all you have to do is plug it in. It's like all that's left to do is experience the plug-in, which could be coming. So I want to pull some cards and see what this plug-in activation process even looks like. And of course, if you're interested in a private reading of your own, you can find that in the description box, as well as gift card options. Okay. Oy, oy, oy. So I'm pulling 5 cards here. And then I'm just going to pause real quick to digest the cards, and I'll be right back. So, what you're seeing in your environment is the 9 of Swords. What you're not seeing is the Hermit reversed. Interesting. Why that energy is hidden? The Page of Cups. Where you should be focusing, the Tower. And where the energy is headed as it currently stands, the Emperor. And then the bottom of the deck, what Spirit wants to remind you your superpower is the Strength card. I love that. Well, I'm going to sit with these cards for 1 second and I'll be back. Okay, so the energy that you're seeing in your environment is the 9 of Swords, right? And the 9 of Swords is typically that coulda, shoulda, woulda, oh no, what have I done? Why are things, yada, yada. You get what I'm saying. Very much so the collective energy right now, so it's not just you. But the energy that you're not seeing, the hidden energy, is the hermit in reverse. And that's really interesting in the context of the cosmic egg, because the cosmic egg talks about the energy of interconnectedness and oneness and realizing that you're one with reality and everybody in all different dimensions. And it makes me think that you could currently be in a state of isolation where you do feel very disconnected from either the people around you or the world around you, or not finding your own place in the world, or not having any hope for the future or anything like that, because there could be things that you're not connected to, or I'm not articulating this well. How else do I want to say it? Because again, the Nine of Swords is very much so an energy of regret, but also feeling isolated, right? It's like when we isolate ourselves in a type of way, because it's almost like the energy of, I don't want to talk about it. Like, I think of how I do that to myself. I put myself in an energy of like, I don't want to talk about it, so I go into hermit mode, right? But then I create an energy of isolation around myself. So it's an energy like that where it's like, what you're not seeing, what's coming, is that that hermit energy is about to be reversed, and there's going to be this tremendous sense of unity and interconnectedness and feeling like you're exactly where you're supposed to be with who you're supposed to be with, and all of those different beautiful energies. And the why that energy is hidden, why this hermit reverse is hidden, is the Page of Cups. And the Page of Cups usually talks about the energy of surprise, right? Where it's like finding unexpected value in something that you did not expect to find any value in whatsoever. And where you're supposed to focus your energy is the Tower card, right? So the difference between the Nine of Swords and the Hermit with the Tower in between it is kind of giving me the energy of like a chicken that's hatching out of an egg, right? Where it's like the Hermit that's hatching out of isolation, that's breaking down the energetic wall that you've put around yourself for protective reasons, maybe, right? Maybe it was absolutely necessary when you did it, but it's like you have to, it's like the only way out is through, right? So the chicken's got to push. So it's almost like inducing the tower yourself, right? Breaking it down yourself. And I mean, energetically, there's different ways to do that, right? There's the Buddhist monks. They love to induce a tower moment by making those beautiful, elaborate sand mandalas and then sweeping it all away, right? Because it's like that deconstruction of the thought form. That's what the tower is. And what's coming underneath it in terms of where the energy is headed as is the Emperor energy, right? Which is stable, grounded, very, very confident, the absolute opposite of imposter syndrome, right? The Emperor doesn't even know what imposter syndrome is. The Emperor is incredibly sure of who they are and what they're supposed to be doing, and is also very certain of the role that they play, right? The Emperor knows exactly what role they play and what seat they have at the table. And I'm just saying that because of the interconnectedness of the cosmic egg, right? That it's like, if you are feeling currently out of sorts, right? Where you're like a fish out of water in your environment or something, it's like the energy that's coming is the opposite of that. The energy is, it's like finding your proverbial Goldilocks zone, right? But in a place of authority and power and harmony with your environment as well. And what Spirit wants to remind you your superpower is the Strength card, right? And it's the Strength card coming out of the Five of Wands reversed, right? So the Five of Wands could be the energy of the current environment, where maybe there are too many cooks in the kitchen, or too many imposter emperors that you think that you have to answer to, or maybe even just emperors that you yourself are inflating. I'm thinking of it as like the Macy's Thanksgiving Day balloons, right? Where it's like you've inflated this emperor balloon with hot air, but it's not actually an authority figure. It's just a thought form that's been inflated by fear or anything like that. But your superpower is the Strength card, right? And the strength card, it's like her superpower is that she has the ability to approach the beast and get the beast to work for her, to tame it, to overpower it, even if it is the emperor energy itself. But it's primarily because she approaches it without fear, right? It's like the idea that animals can smell fear, right? So if you go up in a state of fear, it's most likely going to attack you. But if you approach it very calm and very gentle, the way that she does, it's like the lion turns into a kitten and just starts purring in her lap, right? It's like, that's how I see this strength card today as a superpower, where it's like remembering that you have the ability to turn the lion into a kitten, because truly you are the emperor. And it makes me think of, maybe you've had a lot of experiences in your life where, let's say for example in a work environment, maybe there's somebody in that work environment that is tough as nails and everybody else is terrified of that individual, but for whatever reason you get along with them, right? You and that person can make jokes, right? Or maybe, I experienced this a lot when I was a waiter back in the day, and there would be certain tables that, the more seasoned waiters knew about and avoided and hated and always had a problem with. But those tables loved me and they never had a problem with me, and I never had a problem with them or anything like that. That's what this is reminding me of in terms of the superpower, where it's like you can turn any lion into a kitten. All you have to do is know that you can do that and approach it as such, right? Because that was the case with every table that I was front loaded with. When other waiters would say, "Oh, they're a nightmare, watch out," I would go into it like a challenge, like, no, 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 they are a nightmare for you. For me, I turn the lion into a kitten and still get a tip out of it. So that's pretty much where I want to end that. But let me just pull one little oracle card and see what spirit wants to round it out on. And of course, if you are interested in a reading of your own, I don't know if I said this already, I'm sorry, but it's in the description box. This is my marketing. One day I'll be sponsored. Okay, it says, I am alive. I honor my life by letting go, dancing, singing, and feeling the fullness of my joyful energy. I'm my true self when I'm having fun. I am alive, right? And going back to this Nine of Swords, it's basically like, it ain't over till it's over, right? Not only has the fat lady not sang, she didn't even warm up her voice yet, right? It's like, it ain't over till it's over. I honor my life by letting go, dancing, singing, and feeling the fullness of my joyful energy. So it's kind of like I was saying about the difficult tables at the restaurant, right? Where it's like when you're front loaded with the idea that this is a challenge, there's two ways that you can go into that challenge: fear or not on my timeline, right? By accepting the challenge and saying like, oh yeah, it was a challenge for you, but not a challenge for me, right? And every single time I knew that I was going into the lion's den, the proverbial lion's den with those tables, I would go in with like as much life, joy, yada yada as possible, knowing that I was going to have the opposite experience, right? Where it was like forcing the hand of that energy. I'm seeing it as like how railroads have those levers. Sometimes you can pull the lever and change the tracks. It's like really tough, but you can do it. You can pull it. And it's like joy is the thing that pulls that mechanism, right? So again, just like remembering the superpower that you have in terms of your ability to turn the lion into the kitten, simply because you affirm that even if everybody else experiences them as the lion, they are the kitten for you because of your energy, and you know what you can do, and you've done it before, and you're going to do it again, and it ain't over till it's over, and you're headed towards an energy of stability. This tower energy, it's in the environment, but you can accelerate the process. You are a chicken that's hatching out of the egg. That's what the tower is. The tower is the eggshell, right? The cosmic egg, that's the energy that you're coming out of. And all this tower is really representing to me right now is the illusion of separation, right? Because you're coming out of the hermit, right? The hermit is being reversed. The illusion of separation is being reversed. You're coming back into your environment, but it's giving me like a Wizard of Oz kind of vibe where she wakes up and it's like, oh, you were there and you were there and you were there. It's like the recognition energy that comes back to the Page of Cups, whatever it is that's blocking what you're missing or what's in your blind sight, right? Or blind spot. The Page of Cups, it's like there's something about the element of the surprise or the recognition or the wow factor where it's like if it spoiled it for you, it would ruin something. What's the best way to say that? I don't know. It's kind of like spirit knows what it's doing. Spirit knows what it's doing. There's something about not knowing that's important, right? So it's basically like saying you're not really missing something so much as it's time sensitive, right? Where it's not like you should have seen it by now. It's not like spirit is saying like, hey, you should have seen this at this point. We've been trying to show you. No, 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 no. It's not like that. It's almost like you kind of have to go through the element of surprise first, right? Because it's almost like if you knew you were on your way to the surprise party, you might act differently and that would interfere with it, right? It's almost like the remote viewer's paradox or the oracle's paradox. If I tell you the future, it could influence and corrupt the future. Excuse my F's. I'm trying not to get demonetized here, but you don't want to spoil the future, right? You don't want to tell somebody, oh yeah, you have nothing to worry about, or you do have something to worry about, and then you create the boogeyman that wasn't there, or whatever, right? So I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you so much, my cosmic egg people, and I will see you at the next one. Now let's do, what was the final card? The peacock. And I am at 3650. Okay. Okay, y'all. So we have the peacock card. So I'm going to pause this just for a moment to catch my breath, and I'll be back in 2 seconds. Okay, for the peacock. So the peacock talks about having a very advanced level of self-acceptance, right? Self-acceptance to the point where you could literally strut around like a peacock and allow yourself to shine fully, right? Because whenever we think of the peacock, we always think of the plumage, right? And the beauty and the magnificence and the spectacle of it, right? And typically when people kind of dress to the nines and wear a lot of very glamorous things, we might say that they're peacocking, right? They're showing off, they're strutting, something like that. But in terms of the esoteric energy of the peacock, it talks about really digesting all of the different little shadow things that might inhibit us from allowing ourselves to shine and fully express, right? So the peacock really talks about getting into that space where you can allow yourself to be your true self in your fullest possible expression without any compromise and any self-doubt or insecurity or anything like that. So that's a really interesting energy to start with. So let's pull our cards. And again, I'm looking at what you're seeing, what you're not seeing, and more. So I will explain it as we go. Just realized I haven't shuffled, but that's good. Okay. And of course, if you're interested in a private reading of your own, you can find that in the description box. And if you'd like to gift a reading, I do have gift cards. Okay. For my peacock people. Can we do that? Okay. So what are you seeing? The sun. Love to see it. What are you not seeing? The Chariot reversed. Interesting. Why is that energy hidden? King of Cups. Where should you be focusing? Queen of Cups. And where the energy is heading in general, Knight of Wands reversed. Bottom of the deck, your superpower, 8 of Cups. The ability to walk away from unsustainable emotional structures. Interesting. So I'm going to pause for a second just to digest this, and I will be right back. Okay. So again, the energy on the bottom of the deck was the Eight of Cups, which talks about the energy of walking away from something emotionally unsustainable and heading into the unknown. And Spirit wants to remind you that this energy is your superpower today for what you are experiencing. So what that's saying to me is that the unknown or a new environment is basically like your Goldilocks zone. It makes me wonder if in the past, if you've been thrown into new situations or, on the other side of tower moments or whatever, if you thrived in that environment. How would I even describe it? Not like a high risk situation. It's not something like that, but it's almost like when the pressure is on or something like that, or yeah, thriving in the unknown. Because honestly, what I want to say, going back to the peacock energy, is that it reminds me of like when, if you do make a big move or something like that, how you have the opportunity to kind of reinvent yourself, right? So say you're like up and moving to a new town, new state, new school, new whatever, you have an ability to reinvent and reintroduce, and a lot of people do very much so thrive in those kinds of situations, right? So it's almost something like that, where it's like you could be heading into new circumstances, but it's like you do well there. It's almost like, again, where other people might be shaky, it's like you can handle that. And it's walking away from this Four of Wands reversed, right? So Eight of Cups typically talks about something emotionally unsustainable that you've invested a lot of thought and energy and belief into. And it would be a thought form like the Four of Wands, right? So it's almost like a thought form that was on the verge of completion seems to be reversed, right? And then I also have the Chariot reversed and the Knight of Wands reversed, right? So both of these are talking to me about like a story being reversed. So the Chariot is in the position of what it is that you're not seeing, and the Knight of Wands is in the position of where the energy is currently headed. And it's almost, I don't even know how to explain this visual, but it's like reversing the combustion of something, right? So if I put gasoline in my vehicle and I put the key in the ignition, the gasoline ignites and then it turns into vapors and it's done, right? I can't reverse that process and turn it back into gasoline. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do that. But that's effectively what I'm seeing with this energy, is that it's almost like the energy is being siphoned out of a script that's being shut down, or a thought form or something like that, and it's being sent back to you. And what you are seeing in your environment with the sun is giving me, it reminds me of the story of Plato's cave, where the one guy makes it out of the cave and it's so bright that he can't see anything, right? He's never seen the sunlight before in his entire life. So it's an energy like that with the sun card today in terms of what you're seeing in your environment. It's this brand new energy, but it could almost be overwhelming, almost like when a baby is born, right? Imagine how, I can't even imagine how ridiculous that must be to be a baby that's born in a hospital, right? With these bright overhead lights, these machines beeping, everybody's screaming and saying different things, and they're picking you up upside down and smacking you on the behind. It's like that kind of energy, right? A beautiful thing is happening. It's great. You're safe. Everything is good. But from your perspective, it's the most terrifying thing that could be happening, right? It's something, something like that. But so what's blocking this Chariot reverse? So again, so what you're not seeing with the Chariot reversed, because it's major arcana, I want to say Spirit is very much so involved, and it's literally, again, like, it's not just dismantling the story, but it's like reclaiming the fuel. Like whatever fuel was sent towards a storyline that is currently being decommissioned, right? Which would be something you're already aware of. So if you're not aware of a storyline being decommissioned, maybe watch one of the other one of the other ones. But you would already know that this storyline is either being shut down or has been shut down. But what you don't know is that the fuel and the energy that you have invested in it is being moved towards something else, right? Which again is what I was getting with that Eight of Cups and the Four of Wands, so to speak. That you're moving into this newer environment, which is the unknown, which is typically like moving into the darkness, right? But it's it's the brightness, so to speak, right? Where it's like it's so bright you can't see, as opposed to it being so dark that you can't see, right? But you are moving out of the unsustainable, the unsustainable vibes. And again, it's saying that that's your superpower, right? So I'm wondering if you would have experienced this regularly, where maybe you were one of those kids that moved a lot, so you always had to reacclimatize, or you went through a lot of different jobs or whatever it is. But it's like it, it's yeah, like the power of the reinvention, or the ability to reinvent. And so what's blocking this chariot energy, in terms of why you're not exactly seeing how the fuel is being reclaimed, is the King of Cups, right? So this is why you're not seeing it, versus where you're supposed to be focusing your energy is the Queen of Cups, right? So how interesting is that? So the King of Cups is typically, it talks to me about being emotionally protected, right? Both of these cards talk to me about the emotional body. So the Queen of Cups is, she feels everything, right? She lets everything flow through her. She's the ultimate empath to like the nth degree. Versus the King of Cups is very good at building the wall, at emotionally protecting themselves, and different things like that. And what this reminds me of, from my own personal experience, is there was a situation that I had gone through where a lot of things changed, and the energy was really frustrating and devastating in a lot of different ways. And I was hung up on this energy for months, if not years. It was a lot, until finally one day I realized I never actually allowed myself to feel the energy. I was so caught up in the intellectualization of the energy that I never just let myself feel it. I never just let the energy flow through so that I could see what this wanted to be or what it wanted to do. And once I did that, it never bothered me again. It blows my, I mean, I lost sleep. I was in a 9 of Swords for like 2 years over this. And then it was like right as soon as I did that, it was done. Never again. And that's what I'm talking about in terms of like reclaiming the fuel from this energy. It's like there is no energy that's lost, right? What do they say? Like energy is neither created nor destroyed, it's just transformed, right? So the reason why you may not be seeing how the spiritual course correction is moving you towards something bigger could just be because of that really strong shield that's around the emotional body right now, that's just trying to protect. Because again, it's like things could be so bright that you could assume that you might need the protection, right? Whatever it may be. But the advice is just to feel it. Let yourself feel it, let it wash through, let yourself feel everything that you can possibly feel about it. And going back to the peacock, it almost makes me have to wonder if it has to do with an energy of like visibility or shame, just because this energy talks so much about, standing in your truth and the spectacle and allowing yourself to be who you are and things like that. And the chariot can talk about an energy of self-love, right? Because it's the shadow and the light, and how you have to integrate both of those things to move forward, right? So whatever's being reversed clearly didn't have all those things well balanced or integrated. But it's like it's somehow, it's like it's encouraging the self-love process, right? It's like, just because somebody doesn't appreciate the majesty of your plumage doesn't mean that your plumage is not majestic, right? Like I'm trying to think of an example, but but I guess one thing that I've said in a lot of readings to people, especially readings that have to do with love and things like that, is, say you were in a situation with a narcissist, right? Everybody's always dealing with a narcissist, and you gave and you gave and you did all of these wonderful things and it wasn't appreciated, right? A lot of people get into an energy of being like, okay, well, for the next one, I ain't doing nothing. For the next one, they're going to be X, Y, and Z, and they're going to have to do A, B, and C for me, and I'm not doing that no more. I'm not going to be a doormat. I'm not going to let anybody bop, bop, bop it up. And they put themselves into the King of Cups energy, and they protect the emotional wall, and you have to prove yourself. And basically, it's like the theme in a lot of those readings has been, do not punish the future for somebody's behavior in the past, right? Because the things that you did were the things that you do divinely. They are the things that make you wonderful. You're whatever the energy is that you bring to the equation, whether it's love, work, this, that, and the third. So just because somebody didn't appreciate it doesn't mean that it's not valuable and doesn't mean that you should throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? It's like remembering that you're still fantastic, right? There's somebody out there who can't stand Celine Dion's voice. She still has a fantastic voice, right? It doesn't matter what you think about her. It's like it doesn't obscure the fact that the voice is the voice. So it's kind of like just taking your business elsewhere. It's very much so that energy. And oh, taking your business elsewhere and taking the fuel, right? So it's almost like you could use the analogy of like leaving a workplace. It's like you have a great resume. It's like the fuel that you could extract from that chariot would be the resume or the experience or whatever it may be, right? So let me pull an oracle card and just see how we want to round this out. Oop, oop, oop. Okay, is this two? Oh, we got two. It says, I am connected and I am healthy. I am connected. I have more in common with others than I realize. I seek commonality with people rather than focusing on outward differences. I am connected. Okay, so you could be like a peacock in a room full of chickens and you feel like the weird one, right? Because you're surrounded by all these basic chickens, but you're a peacock. But you have more in common with others than you realize. Still birds, right? Birds of a feather. That's really interesting. As opposed to focusing on outward. So there's an energy here of like not apologizing for who you are, but if anything, allowing it to be the litmus test, where it's like if somebody doesn't appreciate it, thank you, Jesus, hallelujah. Thank you for showing me exactly who you are so I don't have to waste any more of my time or energy on you because there's plenty of people over here that appreciate me, so I can ignore you. And the other one says, I am healthy. I honor my body and I'm grateful for the work it does for me. I nourish my body through self-care. I rest when I need to rest. I eat nourishing meals when I need to eat nourishing meals, and I exercise when I need to exercise. So that card talks to me about being mindful about what you consume, not just in terms of food, but in terms of content, right? But also in terms of judging yourself against others and also being mindful about like not even just a healthy mindset, but even in terms of nourishing your body through self-care and things like that. Like sometimes you do need the ego boost where it's like, again, being the peacock in the room full of chickens and thinking that you're the ugly one because you look different instead of flipping the mindset and saying, I am hot, right? I know that that might sound like a funny thing to say, but it's like, it is a powerful mantra, right? There is something powerful to be said about people who really are confident in their looks or whatever it may be. I'm just going to use that as the example because it's what's coming through, but it's like typically my mantra is be invisible, right? So wherever it is that I'm walking or going or doing, I'm always saying be invisible, don't look at me, don't see me, whatever. Whenever I experiment with the opposite, which is I'm hot, I'm the best, everybody sees me, yada yada, the response that I get is crazy. Right? So it's like if you're in a situation where that feels applicable, obviously take it as it resonates, but also just allowing yourself to be seen and knowing that when you are seen for the majesty and the beauty that you are, right? Inside, outside, outside, inside, because the peacock does talk about inner beauty reflecting outer beauty and things like that, but also in the world around you, right? So it's like not just stopping at yourself, but projecting that onto the space around you and seeing or appreciating or allowing the beauty of the situation around you to reveal itself, right? Because, beauty is subjective, it's in the eye of the beholder, but it is very much so. Well, I guess it's bringing me back to that chariot card too, because the chariot was reversed, right? And beauty makes me think of, in the Kabbalistic system, they have the pillar of severity, the pillar of mercy, so the white and black pillar, and then in the center there's the pillar of beauty. And the pillar of beauty can only be seen by somebody who appreciates the pillar of beauty. But the pillar of beauty is the way out, right? It's like the way out of the matrix is you have to climb the pillar of beauty. It's the middle pillar, the middle path. It's totally subjective. You can only see it if you appreciate it, whether it's within yourself or within others. So it's kind of like just being mindful of that in terms of the language that you're using to describe the environments that you have to navigate, right? Because it's like if you're in a situation where you know that you're there and yada yada, don't project ugly onto it, because ugly is what it will be and ugly is what it will become. But allow beauty, allow it to show its beauty. Allow it to show its beauty and reflect your beauty, right? So I think that's the best way to express that. Thank you guys for hanging in there. If you watched this one or all three of them, I love it. Again, if you're interested in a reading, hit me up. And otherwise, I will see y'all on the Flip and Dip. Bye.